I'm Dillan DeLugo, and I'm here at Southlake Police Department. By the end of the day, 9 more people have lost their lives due to texting and driving in the U.S. It's very sad, but preventable. Let's go inside and talk to Officer Brad Upmore about what we can do to solve this growing problem. What are your thoughts on texting and driving?
So texting and driving obviously is a bad thing, and we call it distracted driving. Like if we write you a ticket for it, that's what it's called. Or if you're in an accident, it's distracted. That means that obviously something's going on in your car and you're not paying
Why do you
attention.
think texting and driving has become such a big problem in our world today?
Obviously just because phones are everywhere and they're cheap too. I mean, you can even get one of these basic smartphones for like $200, and almost everyone can afford that. So it's an integral part of communication today, and that's basically every single person almost has.
How should you handle being with a friend or family member that is texting and driving?
Well, my kids, I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the minute they see me pull mine out, my oldest is saying, "Stop! Like, you're not supposed to do that." Like, they're teaching that in the schools now. So I think that, I mean, if it's a buddy or somebody that cares about you, you can sit there and say, "Hey, do you mind waiting on that?" Or, "Hey, how about I look at it for you?" Or, if it's not too sensitive, let me take a look. Something like that. But, it's just basic communication that you can tell your friend or loved one. Obviously, you have their best interest at heart.
How many times have you been called to a texting and driving scene?
So we get a lot of reports of texting and driving, but more often than not, we see the aftermath of it. So we see when there's been an accident or somebody's crashed in or hurt somebody, and they say, "Oh, I just didn't see the light," or, "Oh, I didn't see that car came out of nowhere." Well, cars don't come out of nowhere. I mean, you're paying attention.
What's the worst texting and driving accident that you have seen or worked as a police officer?
I mean, unfortunately, I've seen a ton of accidents, and the worst ones always involve if somebody's been hurt or killed. And sadly, that is a common thing. I worked for a larger city before I worked here for Southlake, and obviously saw them a lot more because there were a lot more people there. But here we see a lot of damage, a lot of people hurt, and so it's so smart to just put it on silent or just have somebody hold it or just not.
What advice do you have for new drivers in staying out of the temptation of texting and driving?
With new drivers, I think mom and dad have got to be involved with that. So if mom and dad are involved and they make those rules, you got to follow those rules. And especially when you're a new driver, like, with all due respect, you don't know what's going on. Just minimal time on the road. So I just think there's no reason to even have a cell phone within a grabbing space. Just remove that temptation, put the backpack in the trunk, just get to where you're going, and then you've got all day to be on the phone and do whatever you need to do with it.
What can be done to solve this growing problem?
I don't know that a lot can be done except awareness. We live in a world where it seems like there's a lot of blame for everybody else, and there's got to be some sort of self-accountability. I know the schools do, they do a distracted driving program, that game over program that they do it, and while that's extreme, it does show the absolute terrible dangers that can happen, and you've just got to have that in your head that, my God, how can you live with yourself if you kill or hurt somebody else? You just have to be aware that, man, I'm in control of myself, and I need to follow these rules set for me. It's no one else's fault. I take some accountability. I think that's the only real way, because cell phones aren't going anywhere, obviously.
According to Officer Upmore, it's up to all of us to make the decision to put down the phone and drive safely. Thanks for watching. Don't text and drive.